Hello, encouragers. I'm Rebecca Scott, wife, mother of 4, author, and owner and designer of Rebecca Scott Designs. I'm here to encourage you, to make you feel the I can do this spirit each and every day of our awesome journeys to fulfill those many important roles. I believe we are fully equipped to execute, and I will provide you with as much knowledge and practices and systems as I can to help you understand just what I know you can do. Execute. We got this. Hello, encouragers. On today's podcast, I have an awesome guest with me. And I invited her to be on the podcast because I knew she would be the perfect one to talk about this openly, honestly, and even with a little bit of humor and love. So, welcome my guest, Laura Burns.
Hello.
Okay, so I got to give you a little bit of my history with Laura, and then I want Laura to talk about her family. I met Laura when she was, I think, 13, and came into youth group. And I was like, oh my gosh, she had the cutest hair and she had all this like confidence and swagger. And she walked in and she's like, okay, what's the plan and what are we doing? And all I remember thinking, I was 21, is like, I really want to be her friend. And so I started off as her youth group counselor. And then in our adult years, just became really good friends and held each other accountable to that. It's not just on us. It's on, depending on a God much bigger than us. And then she got to know, of course, Nicholas really well. And then she and her fiance asked Nick to officiate their wedding. So it got to go even deeper in our relationship. And there was things in the middle of there with youth group that allowed me to advocate for Laura and really understand her strengths and what it's like. And by referencing that without being so vague, Laura is I would say, Laura, you are a Black woman, but you are actually Haitian, correct?
Correct. 100% correct. Yes.
So when I say, and the reason why I could say all this, encouragers, is because Laura's super friendly and we're friends. So she'd be like, no, don't say it like that or say it like this. So I want you to be honest.
No, I'm fine.
Are we supposed to call you a Black woman? Are we supposed to say colored? Are we supposed to say African American? Am I supposed to say Haitian?
I think it depends on where you live. Like I have a friend who grew up on the East Coast and they say colored. That's just what they say. It depends where you live. And sometimes it's the age demographic. You know, somebody who may be a little bit older might refer to it as colored. Somebody may say Black. Somebody may say African American. Okay. I just say Black.
Okay.
You know, Haitian, you know, Black just kind of sums it up. All African descents of Africa kind of sums it up, I guess. I mean, it depends where you live, I guess.
Okay.
And what
you're
what
okay
you're
with
out,
all
too.
of the above?
Yeah. I mean, and it depends what you're filling out too. I mean, like, for an example, when I was in school and I would have like the exams that you have to take, you have to fill out your race or something, I would always hit Black because, you know, the Haitian's not on there, you know, Nigerian or, you know what I mean? So you just hit Black, which is interesting having biracial kids.
Yes, which we're going to talk about too, because oh my gosh, you guys, if we could have audio and video, you'd be totally distracted but only watch for twins. Laura, tell us a little bit of your background and your family makeup, because I think that's important also with how it shaped you.
Yes. Okay. So my mom and dad adopted 13 of us kids from Haiti, and then they had 4 of their own. My mom and dad are Caucasian, and so my 4 oldest siblings are Caucasian, and then all of us came from Haiti. So I grew up in like a multiracial family, Black and white. So that really kind of molded my family, molded us. I thought it was very cool to grow up like that. When I was little, it was kind of uncommon, you know, to see white parents with the Black kid and know that they adopted the kid. But now it's more common. Like you don't even blink an eye. You know, the other day I was at the park here at the street and I saw a gal with her 2 beautiful Black sons, and they were obviously adopted. And we had she told me the story about them and where they came from, and it's just so cool. So it's very common.
I'm laughing because Laura, I am sure you walked across the street to find out the story behind it.
Yep, you're sure did. I'm like, whoa. Where are your sons from? And, you know, and it's not offensive at all. It's just, I knew that she was their mom. And
yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And I think you should also mention a lot of your siblings had special needs.
Yes. Yes, they did. Yes. Yep. Yeah. So a lot of my siblings had special needs. And so how I believe my mom started is she went on a missions trip with her work at a time, like, let's say 35 years ago. I think my oldest sibling's probably 35 by now, because I'm 30, almost 30. Okay. Maybe older than that. I don't know. But anyways, and back then she would take a child back with her to America, or 2 at a time, you know, and all of us kind of had a story. Now that was back 30 years ago where adoption was easy. I mean, you can't do that today. You can't do that at all. Adoption is long. It's a big process now. Back then, my mom just could take somebody home, it seems like, and get them the best medical care here in America. But you can't do that today.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sadly. I mean, but there are reasons.
So did she fall in love with you in particular when she was over there, or how did that work?
I think she came to pick up my brother Matt and I at the same time, I believe, because they thought that I had hydrocephalus. I was a tiny little baby with a big head. And then I think it came out that I didn't have it. I just didn't eat. I believe that's the story. I'd have to ask my mom, but I think that's the story.
Okay.
I just didn't eat, which clearly makes sense now that I'm so tiny. I'm kidding, but
no, she's not. She is lying. She is very tiny still to this day. After she is 4 under 4, so 3 and yes,
3 under 4.
So I'm curious. So she brought back you and Matt, gave you the health that you needed.
Yeah, and then kept us, and then the trip was an interesting story because she had Maggie first. And then 5 years later, the 2 other sisters came.
I did not know that. So Laura has triplet sisters, but they came 5 years apart?
Yes.
Wow.
So Miriam and Marjorie stayed, and Maggie needed the medical attention, so she went first.
Okay.
And then 5 years later, Marjorie and Miriam came. It's very interesting, though. But it's cool that they got to keep them together.
Yes, very. I mean, well, like you said, it just doesn't happen so easily like that now.
No,
the fact that your mom and dad were in the middle of that. And tell me, what does that round off your family? How many members were in your family then?
17.
Oh my goodness.
17 siblings, yes.
So it really helped shape your, oh my goodness, it shaped so much of you. And I got to watch so much of you develop because I met you so young. So what I recognized right away is that you were hyper attuned to injustice, like whether it was for your siblings with special needs, if it was for Black Americans or white Americans, or advocating for your white siblings, it didn't matter. You just already were attuned to injustice and how to show grace and love in all circumstances. You don't assume things, and you're very curious and loving and asking questions. So kudos to your parents for, oh my gosh, just taking that on. That's incredible. Okay, Laura, I have some questions here that I was thinking about some of them I got from the encouragers. Thanks you guys for responding on our Facebook page and everything. We've talked about your history, your family. Now, what is your current situation?
Okay, so currently I am married to Paul, obviously, like Becca said, and I have 3 children. I have Lexington, he's 4, and Lucy and Lawson, and they are 2.
Paul is white.
And Paul is white. So they are biracial. There's just the cutest little things ever.
They're adorable.
Running around right now screaming your head off because it's nap time. So that's why I should go down for a nap.
Who wants to?
Yeah. So I had 3 little ones, and they're biracial, and they're cute, or you can say mixed. Or
okay.
Yeah.
And so have you ever dated a Black guy? I don't think you did.
No, Paul's the only guy I've ever with. Paul. Just Paul.
Was that purposeful?
I just met him at college. We've been together ever since.
Okay. You just fell in love.
Almost 10 years ago, exactly, that we met.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was the first week of college. I went to the Blacklight dance. My friends dragged me to this dance. I didn't want to go. And then my friend's like, you should dance with him. I'm like, no, I'm not going to dance with him. My friend's like, you should dance with him. So I danced with them, and then we've been together ever since. So 10 years.
I've seen you dance. It totally makes sense why he fell in love. 10 years. Because she's got good rhythm. Okay. And I know this is almost a cliche question, but when you and I talked pre-interview, I was like, I think that should be mentioned. When was the first time you heard the N-word?
As a slur, or just the N-word in general?
As a slur.
When I was in 3rd or 4th grade, I was called the N-word. Me and some other girls were. Mm-hmm. And the kid, I'll use his initials, JS. She said it, we told on a teacher, and I think he said it a couple times. It was at recess. So I remember that evening, my dad taking me up to his bedroom, talking to me about it, and how it was a bad word, and how he wasn't supposed to say it. I mean, I know it was bad, and he got in trouble, and he apologized, and I believe he wrote us a letter. Wow. And I believe he got suspension, I believe.
Wow.
But it's very ironic, because I actually saw him after I had my twins in the hospital. I saw him. It was very weird because I was like, oh, I remember who he is. I have a really good memory. Uh-huh. And he really changed. He's older, but I don't know if he knew who I was. But I saw him,
Huh?
and I didn't. I just remembered. I was like, okay, that's that kid who. But hopefully he's in a better place now in life. And I mean, he was young too. But you still don't say those words. Whether you have the intent behind it or not. I think it comes from the home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Third grade. I'll never forget. I was in third grade.
Yes, I knew you had a good memory because Laura's also worked for me on the purse side as well. So she doesn't forget a thing. Laura, when was it difficult to grow up in the Midwest because there is less Black population in the Midwest? And maybe I'm wrong there too. Was it? And then in your high school, you went to Washington High School here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. What is the ratio? Was there like 10 in your class or more like 30?
I don't think it was difficult. I think the biggest things would be like buying Black hair products or ethnic hair products.
Okay.
So you have to in Sioux Falls, there really wasn't that much in Sioux Falls. So we'd go to Omaha, Lee's Beauty Supply, which is literally like a huge beauty supply store of like hair stuff and weaves and all. It's amazing. Okay. Even like when we went there last year, we got a whole bunch of stuff just to go and stock up, and then I'm good for like a year or two.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can see the products and you can smell them. You're there right there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really think it was that bad. I mean, a funny story I can tell you is I remember one time when my nephew was probably 4 or 5, and I was with my sisters in a little small town in Iowa, and we went to go pick him up from daycare or school. And all the kids stood up and stared at me. And I think it was just because maybe I was the first Black person they've ever seen. I don't know. But it was very interesting. I remember that.
Yes.
It was very interesting.
So we had Black twins in Philip, South Dakota, and they definitely were like the only two in the town, I think, at the time. Mm-hmm. Wonderful individuals. And Sarah and I didn't know any different either because we're a set of twins also. And so we just had all these fun play dates, and we ran around on horses and fell through haymows. And if they're listening to this, they are cracking up. And Sarah and I didn't realize, and Sarah will tell this much better, but we didn't, obviously we knew they had dark skin, but we didn't know that people were calling it black and white. Mm-hmm. And so Sarah just kept saying they're really yummy. And Mom was asking her, what do you mean they're yummy? And she said, well, they look like chocolate, so they must be yummy. That was, So, but I know that high school was awesome for them because it was a small town. So I think in my thought, I think that they really enjoyed it and that we totally embraced them. And they were amazing athletes and amazing humans. But I do wonder, is it isolating sometimes because you are the minority?
In first grade, I remember my first grade teacher, when it was around Martin Luther King time, she had me hold the hand of a girl, her initials are KB, and she explained the differences in our skin tones and stuff. And sometimes kids don't see that, which is good. Kids, they shouldn't see, right? You know what I mean? They should just be friends and, be friends with whoever they want to,
Yes.
But it was very interesting how she did that. And then she talked about Martin Luther King and about the marches and so on. And I'll never forget that either. Mm-hmm. It's a very impactful moment. Mm-hmm. But back to high school, I would say as I got older, it became more diversified in school. So when I was in elementary school, I might be the only Black kid in my class. Okay. But as I got to middle school, there was more multiracial girls and boys. Mm-hmm. And then obviously high school, it's a whole bunch. And then college, it's just diverse all over campus, and I love it. Even with Lexington preschool, I love the diversity in its class. There's people from all over the world in its class. So it's really cool.
And do you purposely seek that out for your children so they know all kinds of different nationalities and races? It just doesn't dawn on them that it should be any different?
I don't purposely seek it out. We love Brookings, and I love the school, the Fishback, where he goes to school, SDSU preschool. I love it. It's just very diverse and a really cool program.
Awesome.
But I think anywhere in Brookings would be, to be honest. I feel like there's diversity in Brookings because we get a lot of professors from all over the world and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's
and students.
It's an amazing, yes, it's an amazing campus. But we can go on and on about SDSU because we are SDSU fans.
Yep.
Okay, another question is, this one I'm super interested as girlfriend to girlfriend. When do you feel the most Black?
When I have to go get my hair or try to get my hair cut. That's for sure. I had the best barber for like 4 years back then. He was amazing. He was
Okay, so why are you saying barber? Why'd you have to barber?
He was a barber and he cut hair and he did a great job. I always went to him. Went to him for 4 years, I think, in Brookings, and he was amazing.
Okay.
And he moved just before I had my twins. He moved about 2 years ago. He moved down to Arizona, which is fine. But finding somebody to do my hair, that would be the number one thing. Especially in like Little Brookings. Like, even Sioux Falls is becoming like, I have a friend, her man Chakwa. She has an awesome business doing hair. Her name's Marwa. She does hair. There's Ariette. She does hair. So there are more places in Sioux Falls now than when I was growing up who braid hair and stuff. And they just passed it. I mean, it maybe 2 years ago that they just passed it. You can braid hair without having a license, because you used to have a license to do hair, and braiding hair is a technique that somebody can learn. And there was a woman who actually, she was Caucasian, and she was doing it out of the basement of her home without a license. And they passed it where she can do that. So you can do hair, braid hair without a license now.
Oh my gosh, talk about a little barrier that is not well known.
Yeah, people don't know. Yeah, it passed, I want to say maybe 2 years ago. Sorry, I might not be 100% correct. I want to say 2 years ago it passed.
Oh, I'm glad. I think I'm sorry, I'm going back to this. So you can't just go to a hairstylist. You had to go to a barber. Was the barber black, and that's why you knew he knew how to cut your hair?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He could cut my hair. He would do Lexington's hair. He was so great. Dawn, if you see this, come back to Brookings. His wife is still here, I believe. She's an awesome police officer in town. But yes.
Oh, that cracks me up, because I'm picturing you as a beautiful black woman walking in there like, okay, do your thing. And the other old guys in the seats going, wait, what?
He was so nice and so friendly. And his wife actually is Caucasian, so it's very cool.
So now you have a daughter in the twin scenario. What will Lucy, like, will you braid her hair? Will you have her go to a barber? Like, how does that work?
So right now, she's just going to be all natural. I won't have her permanent. She has very curly, like loose curls. And I'm trying to grow out my hair right now too, to like grow out with her, so she can see like what my hair looks like in its natural state. Mine's more kinkier than hers is. Okay. I actually haven't had a haircut in over a year.
Oh wow.
So it's actually really long. It's very deceiving. Like if I could pull out a curl, it's really long. It just looks short. Sure. But it's actually longer than what it looks like. Okay. It takes forever to straighten, which is why I don't straighten it. Right. But no, she'll probably just have natural hair. We'll just let it be curly, let it grow out for a while.
Are you excited that is trending right now for Black women to wear their hair naturally and just
Yes. And there's a big movement too, just to have like your natural hair and leave it be and just let it grow out. Some Black women want to do weaves, they want to do braids, which is fine. I did it all, but I just like my hair just natural. I thought about getting braids about 3 months ago, but then I was like, I don't want to just sit there and get braids. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. But I'm going to grow it out for a while. We'll see how long I can grow it out for.
Well, tell me this too about your hair. I read this somewhere, and I know I won't get it right. But did you ever feel intimidated when you were job interviewing because of your hair? Like they were saying if they had a weave or something slightly more polished, they were more likely to get the job than if they went all natural. Was that true for you?
No, I don't know. I think it's my personality that gets me the job.
Yeah.
I'm very outgoing, but no, I don't know. I can't say. I've never experienced that, but I know that there have been issues where people have been suspended from school for having dreadlocks or for having their hair in too many braids or something. That's not okay. Cause it's kind of like a culture thing, just braids and doing that. You can't, why would you expel a kid for having dreadlocks? Like that's not okay. Or say that he can't walk in graduation. Well, that's not okay either. Okay.
Well, and it is a form of expression, and we've all got different ways. And also, like you were just talking about, it's a way to manage it. Like you said, we don't have a whole lot of choices for barbers and hairstylists around here. So they're probably doing the best that they can with what they have.
But if you go, like you said, like how would it be different if I was in the Midwest versus like the East Coast? Like if I went to Atlanta, I could probably find anybody to do my hair there.
Sure.
There's a bigger
we're glad you're here in the Midwest.
Yes. I like the Midwest.
Okay, what is the most offensive questions people ask you?
Well, first off, Becca, you would know that I do not get offended easily. I really don't.
No. Mm-mm.
People, I really can't think of anything. I think one that people would think that would offend me is when people ask to touch my hair. Oh. Some people would say, oh, that would be offensive. And I'm like, for me, I think it's just a teaching moment, and they just want to learn about my hair.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, I have friends that have long hair that I will braid. Like my sister-in-law will tell you, anytime I'm with my sister-in-law, I will braid her hair. Like I love playing with her hair and braiding it and doing different types of braids in her hair.
Yes.
So maybe it's just a natural thing that they're just like, hey, can I just feel your hair? And that's fine for me.
Okay.
I think maybe one thing that kind of offends is when people don't think my kids are mine.
I was going to say, let's talk about your children. So, but your children are pretty dark in color.
It depends. Lucy is now, thank goodness. She's nice and tanned.
Okay.
But if she was fair skin, like in the winter, I remember I was in Target. And it's the winter time, and the kids get very fair skin in the winter. And this lady was like, "Is she yours?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's mine." She's just very, very fair skinned right now because it was winter and she was very, very, very light.
Okay.
Light skin. But sometimes people ask me if the kids are mine. It's me.
Do you think they're asking out of curiosity, or do they think, like, what are they hoping to get from that answer?
Maybe they think that I'm the nanny. I don't know. Maybe I look young enough to be a nanny.
Well, you definitely are. Definitely are.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's probably the one that probably is like the most offensive, I think, is when they ask if they're mine. But
man, well, I'm glad
people are curious. And nowadays, you know, with the whole trafficking thing, you can never be, I don't know, too serious. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm just impressed that that's the most offensive you can think of. So
I don't know. I really can't think of anything. Like, do I get darker? Yes, I get darker. Do we tan? Yes, we do tan. I don't know. Like,
you don't have to. I think it's great. I think that you've had a blessed life, and that have, especially I think because of your personality and your character, you've attracted people that will embrace whatever stage of life you're in.
Yeah.
Single, mixed marriage, whatever it is, owning your own business. Talk to me a little bit about how you responded to the George Floyd problem.
My thing was, it was 100% wrong. 100% was wrong.
It was 100% what? I missed it.
Wrong. Like, the cops were not right at all.
No.
That was, no matter what he was doing, passing a fake $20, I don't care. He did not deserve to die.
No.
Like, that's point blank. That, I mean, it was awful. I mean, I believe in like the peaceful protests. That's fine. That's where you got me. But as a small business owner, when the looting, that's just what gets me. It's when they're taking from the others or the hard small business owners. And the thing is that there would be businesses that would say Black owned or minority owned, and these people, they didn't care. They were just taking whatever they wanted. And I think the hardest thing was I finally broke down and I bawled because it was that video. It was a guy in Minneapolis who owned a sports bar, I believe, and it wasn't opened. And just think, you're going through COVID and you just get the okay to open, and they looted his whole bar. And during the interview, they came back to take his safe while he was being interviewed by the news crew. And it was a grown Black man bawling on TV. I mean, I just bawled. I was like, I can't even, like, it was just the saddest thing. Like, you just took away his livelihood, you know, and luckily I believe he has recovered, but still, I mean, it's not okay. Like right now, obviously there was another shooting that happened and people are rioting and stuff when they're taking stuff from other businesses, and it's still sad. I mean, that's where it's just sad. It's really sad. Cause I think of the small business owners as a small business. Yeah. And even Target though, like, I mean, not just small, but like even Target, you know, people say, oh, they have insurance, like even Target stuff. I'm like, well, you just put how many people out of work that just got the okay to go back to?
So I think it's so interesting, you know, when you sent me a video via text about your breakdown, because we were all checking on you too, like, well, what does this mean for you, Laura? That your point on it was really more about the business owner than about him being Black, which was terrible as well. But I saw it more as a human injustice as well. What I saw when I saw the George Floyd was that he was drunk. And so that was a lot of history of my brother, and the way that he just dealt with his high anxiety was alcohol. And so all I could think in that moment when he was on the ground asking for a breath was, that's Philip, because he would have been drunk and begging for a breath of air. It wasn't so much that he was Black, while that is important. It was more that he was just human. This should not happen to any human being. So
and the abuse of power.
Yes. Holy
the abuse
cow.
of power. Like, that was the biggest thing. And like, I do see, yes, he was Black, but I also see the huge abuse of power. Like, he had that one officer that was standing there, like, blocking people from trying to, like, intervene. And like, are you serious? Like,
And in another twist of, like, Laura's interesting life, you have brother-in-laws that are in law enforcement. Yeah, so you have so many ends of the spectrum that you can speak on and relate to.
And my father-in-law is a lawyer, and my brother-in-law is a lawyer too.
Yes, I see.
So-
No, there's so many different. Thank you for sharing that, because I did think that obviously, and you marched in the Black Lives Matter
Protests in Brookings, yes.
the protests in Brookings. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, it was great. It was so peaceful. And I had a sign that said, "You are loved and you matter." And that basically was my point, is that you are loved and you matter. So you matter. You know,
Did you
and
mean
you are,
if you had to be black or white? You just meant in general.
yeah, you are loved and you matter.
Yes.
But that was my point. And the march was so peaceful. And we actually walked around through downtown, and then we stopped in front of the police department, and we all kneeled for 7 minutes, just like how they were on George Floyd's neck for 7 minutes. That had to be the longest 7 minutes of my life. And we were kneeling on like black, in like the street. So it was like hot, and it was just like, I can't even imagine what he went through.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
You know?
So it was the relating to what he was like on the streets there.
I mean, it was just, and I mean, it was so silent. You probably couldn't hear it was so quiet during those 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It chokes me up thinking about it, because you made such a difference in that 7 minutes, in so much peace. It was completely peaceful. Nobody got harmed in those 7 minutes, but it made such a large statement in those 7 minutes, but no violence had to occur.
Nope. And it was so peaceful.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is that I wish that the peacefulness would take over all the looting and all the rioting in the country. Because there are people out there who are having peaceful protests, but we don't make the news. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
right.
We might, but it won't be that big of a deal. But in Brookings, we had a Juneteenth event, and that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the Pioneer Park, and I like to bring my kids to events like that, just so that they can know more about their culture too.
Absolutely.
So then they know like there are two races. Well, they're more than two, but
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you wish people asked more from you? Like you could tell that they're curious, but they just won't ask it. What do you wish that they asked more of?
I don't know. That's the one question I didn't know. I do like how you checked in on me, though. I thought that was nice. About like this whole George Floyd thing, when people were checking on me, I thought that was very kind.
Yeah.
I was texting my other friends like, "Hey, how are you doing? Like this is just a crazy world. Are you safe?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you coping?
But I think people will ask me questions bluntly, whether they want to or not. That's why I don't get offended. Sometimes they just move out.
Yeah. They just need to get out. It's good. What makes you outraged about racism?
That it's still here, first off. I don't feel like it's going to ever go away. That it's still here, though. It's 2020 and it's still here, which sucks.
Yes.
And what also makes me outraged is that people don't think that there is reverse racism. So the amount of times that I have read that Black people aren't racist, or can't be racist, it's ridiculous. So I'm like, that is not true.
Okay, explain that to me.
There are Black people who can be racist, who are racist against whites, who will purposely pick on a white kid or purposely will do, you know what I mean? That's racism, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it is out there, though. There is reverse racism out there.
Yeah. Has Paul ever had any situations with marrying you that made him uncomfortable, where he was like, no?
Nope. The only thing that I can think of is we might get looks every now and then, but you just learn to ignore those looks and just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people, it might be just a culture shock, I think some people from different countries where they might not be allowed in their culture to marry outside of a race. So when they see interracial couple, they're just shocked, or it's just something that they've never seen. Okay. But I mean, we get looks every now and then, but nothing really.
So Laura, when you are out and about, which you are holding your son Lawson, who's just, skin is perfect and beautiful, and he's got his arms wrapped around mama. What happens when you're about with your adorable mixed kiddos?
We get stopped a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, your kids are so cute. They're so beautiful. I like their hair. Very nice. Always nice compliments. Every now and then I get asked if they're mine. And
or if they're twins?
Yes, if they're twins. Oh my gosh. Right? If I got a dollar because to be outside, I'd be rich. Another thing is sometimes it's finding toys that look like My kids, because they're biracial. That's another thing. So I actually brought Lucy's baby out, which she's sleeping, so I can bring her out. But this is Lucy's baby doll that I got, and I love it.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
It looks like Lucy kind of, and it has the curly hair, just like Lucy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so finding toys sometimes that look kind of like my kids, but then again, also they're just toys, and Lucy will play with any doll, no matter what race it is. So will Lawson.
Sure. Yeah.
So we get stopped a lot. Asked about their hair, if they're twins, are they boy-girl twins? No, they're fraternal. Does that mean they're boy or girl? Okay, well, you figure that out.
And I kind of laugh that they don't think that Lucy is a girl because you've had a ball dressing Lucy as a girl.
Oh, yes.
How can they guess it all? Okay, thank you, Laura, for joining us today and talking a little bit about what it means to be Black in America, especially now, and what it was like to grow up with so many different perspectives. And I just want to thank you for being my friend and for advocating for small businesses and also for Black America, and that you are really into the peaceful way of showing people what it's like to help one another and support one another. Is there anything you can tell our encouragers to encourage them when they are speaking for you, being part of a movement? Is there anything that you can help encourage us with?
I would say don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay.
And always speak what you think. Always speak your mind. You know, like, I think that one thing about me is that I might be a little bit different than what the normal mainstream might say, you know, but we're not all, everybody's different.
Okay.
You know, you are loved and you matter.
So are you saying also it's not like you assume if it's one white woman in her 30s, she's going to believe this and act like this and say this. You can't just group us in one great thing, just like we cannot group you, that you are going to be protesting and looting and way outspoken about all these things. Like, wait, don't group me all together. I have my individual mind and my individual opinion.
Yes, that is exactly. But don't be afraid to ask questions and know that your opinion does matter, whether it might not be the right opinion and somebody else's opinion, but know that your opinion does matter. The amount of people who have been white and have told me, well, I can't speak on this issue because I'm not Black, or I can't answer how I feel about it because I'm not Black. I'm like, what do you mean you can't answer what do you think about the George Floyd protest because you're not Black? Everybody has the right to speak what they want to.
Again, that goes back to we're all human. So yes, we all have something to say because it was a human that died very wrongfully and we need to chat about it.
Yeah, I agree. What else can I say? I mean, I don't know. I love America. I love living in Midwest America. It's fun.
I have to say, too, we have to finish this with Laura has had a booming business. Well, she started with a baby business that we love and adore. Then found out she's pregnant with twins and went, okay, wait a minute here. And the whole mask thing came up, and Laura loves to sew as well. And so tell us where we can buy your awesome mask, Laura.
You can find me on Facebook, Love Lucy Designs. That's the name of my business, is after Lucy, but then I also became a Lucille Ball. And then I also have Love Lucy Designs by Laura on Instagram. And then we have a VIP page if you just type it in on Facebook. Love Lucy Designs, a VIP page. But going back to the twin thing, I got to tell you this quick. Yeah. Africans and African descents are 1 in 4 to have twins. We have a higher percentage of having twins.
Really?
And they believe it's linked to the yams. And so before, when I was pregnant, and I didn't know it was twins, I was Googling it, like, just as a joke, like, because Paul's like, oh, it's going to be twins. And I was like, no, it's not. And then I read that, and I was like, oh, my gosh. Well, sure enough, it was twins. But, yes, African descents and Africans have a higher percentage of having multiples.
And they linked it to what? Why do they figure?
They think it's the yams, which I don't know why, but every study that I've read says it might be linked to yams.
Yams, okay.
I don't eat yams.
I wanted twins so bad. I missed the boat. I should have been eating yams.
I don't eat yams, but I thought that was a very interesting thing about,
Well, I thought you were the luckiest woman alive when you showed me the video of you having twins, and I called her in Hobby Lobby, in the dried flowers and cried with her. Like, that's how memorable it was for me as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, Laura. We'll make sure to check out your mass. If you have any questions, we'll be posting on the Facebook page and also on the member page. Encouragers, if you have any questions that you've always wanted to ask an awesome Black woman, Laura is definitely the one to ask because she will do it lovingly and totally with grace. So thank you for joining us today, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you, Becca. We'll say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next time, encouragers, we got this.
I know how you can start executing on all the things that God has equipped you to do. You can pick up my book at theencouragerpodcast.com and check out the store complete with book, journal, and the master course. Also, make sure to check out the resources tab where you'll get a hold of all the PDFs from the podcast. Thank you for tuning in, encouragers. Remember to subscribe so it's automatically on your phone. And please rate and review me. We got this, encouragers.